The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Podbros Network. You can find us as well as other fine shows such as The Guy Huddle, Language of Bromance, and Dave's Nerd Compendium at podbros.com and on Twitter at Podbros Network. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Blokebusters podcast. Welcome to episode 50.
Ooh,
yes,
50. Yeah. That long, eh?
We made it. Despite having no bosses.
Yes.
And nothing, yes. No one to cancel us.
Yeah.
Episode 50 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul.
And today we will be talking about Jurassic World.
Yes, we shall. But first, let's get all the contact stuff out
How
of the
would
way.
you like to yell at us? How
Yes.
can they yell at us, Paul?
Well, there's numerous ways
And
they can yell
compliment
at
us.
us. Yes.
Yeah.
No, we don't get into those.
No, okay.
The best one for us really is Twitter. That is where we are able to be the most active, and that's at Blokebusters, shockingly.
Yes.
And then we have Facebook, which is facebook.com/Blokebusters. We have our email address, blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. And then if you like, we do have a website. It's nothing major, really, but we think it looks nice, and that is blokebusters.webs.com. So, before we get into the plot summary, why not mention the nitty-gritty here? We have...
How is this film doing?
Well, let's see.
Poorly, I bet.
Oh, very, very.
Only a couple million?
just a few.
A couple hundred?
Directed by Colin...
Trevorrow,
thank you.
You're welcome,
I
sir.
was not too sure how to say that one.
Mm-hmm.
A budget of, at this point I'll say only 150 million. And the box office as of yesterday, $759.8 million.
Is that it?
That is it. And
What a failure.
I know. That is, I believe, 8 days after release. And this film is the first film ever to gross $500 million worldwide opening weekend.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
it's a no-brainer. I mean, you have the 12-year-olds who saw Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You know, when they were 12, and now the current 12-year-olds, and it's just doubling all of that. Yes. Yeah. So, not that you really need a plot summary, but I'll give you one.
All right.
For
Let's
this
see
one.
what this is like then.
What is this film about? Well, it's about a young attorney and his struggle with the legal system. Oh, wait, that's the firm, sorry.
Yeah.
22 years after the events of Jurassic Park, Isla Nublar now features a fully functioning dinosaur-themed park. Think SeaWorld meets Disneyland, you know, as originally envisioned by John Hammond. After 10 years of operation and visitor rates declining, they have to keep coming up with new spectacles, bigger and badder and meaner and more teeth.
Yes.
And then let the plot develop from there.
And then dinosaurs
And then
happen.
dinosaur crunch human. Repeat as necessary.
Alright.
So who was in this bloody thing?
Who is in this? We have Star-Lord himself.
Star-Lord.
It's Chris Pratt as Owen Grady. And I don't know if we even need to bother with last names for this cast list.
No.
Really.
No. I don't think we need character names for a couple of them. But.
Yeah, probably not. Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy. Nope, sorry, as Claire Deering.
As frigid woman
Yes.
who slowly warms up throughout the film.
Yes, as woman who can run the fastest in high heels ever.
I thought didn't she lose those once he made fun of him?
No.
I thought I saw a shot of her like bare. Well, she was barefoot at something like that.
There is one point where she takes them off, but for most of the running scene, she is wearing the high heels.
Good for her then.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is her superpower.
Yes, and then typically, Natalie Portman style from Star Wars, her wardrobe becomes less and less throughout the film.
Yeah, well,
and tattered more and more.
Yeah, although they did kind of poke fun at that a little. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get there. Jumping ahead. Who else?
And I'll lump these two together. Nick Robinson and Ty Simpkins as Zach and Gray Mitchell.
As the young kids this time around.
As the kids, yeah. Ty Simpkins, you may remember from Iron Man 3. Yes, there are a lot of Marvel-related things here. And we have Vincent, and I'm never sure how to pronounce his last name.
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio. There we go, that'll work.
Yep.
As Vic Hoskins, or generic bad guy.
Generic bad guy.
Yes. And
I have ulterior motives, guy.
Yes. Playing his first bad guy role since the Daredevil miniseries from Netflix there. So that was, about 6 months. Then I have, getting into the lesser characters really, although some people would disagree with this one, Jake Johnson.
I love Jake Johnson.
As Lowry...
As Nedry? I'm sorry, as...
as Lowry Crothers, or the tech guy.
A.K.A. Nedry.
The sassy tech
guy. The good Nedry. Yes. You didn't silence your phone.
Ooh, nice one.
Gotta leave that in.
I'm gonna have to now, yeah. Irfan Khan, a wonderful name, as Simon Masrain. He's the guy that took over from Hammond.
Yes.
B.D. Wong as Dr. Henry Wu.
Woo!
And he was revising his role as Dr. Henry Wu from the first one. And then the last one I have is Omar Sy as Barry. For those of you who might be thinking, Barry? Yes, the French guy called Barry. He was the guy that is helping out Chris Pratt's character at the raptor cages and not much else, really.
And Jimmy Buffett, but we'll get to him.
Yes. Actually, there's a couple of Jimmys in this.
Yeah.
Alright, so, where do you want to start with this?
Let me see. First of all, well, it was, I think I saw your Facebook post, it was just a bit of silliness throughout.
Just a little.
Just a little bit of silliness.
Just a little bit.
But, like, I guess I'm just going overall feelings for now. This is the only way I'll compare this film, and this is not fair to Jurassic World at all. But in the sense that Dumb and Dumber 2, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber 2 kept me watching because of the nostalgia factor. And how I gave certain things a pass in that film, but ultimately that film was a disaster.
Right.
I gave certain things a pass in this film because this is such an iconic franchise for me. It hit me at the perfect dinosaur-loving age of 12, and I was letting certain things go, and over and all, I think it wasn't a bad film. I thought there was plenty of good things about it. But still, abundance of silliness. Silliness number one. You talk about suspension of disbelief. Okay, I'll accept dinosaurs.
Well, you have to.
Exactly.
It's Jurassic World.
You know, dinosaurs and whatnot. But that first guy, I think technically victim number 2, when he's talking with Bryce Dallas Howard, and he's wearing a hard hat indoors in a completed building. Why is he wearing a hard hat? Is it just his favorite hat?
Yes, it is.
But did you not notice that? That drove me insane.
He is hard hat mad, yes.
I'm like, why? He's in an office, or and he's wearing a freaking hard hat.
Well,
and she's not, so it's obviously you're not required to wear a hard hat entering that area.
No, but to be fair, given that you are in an area where there are giant dinosaurs...
Well, they would have them hanging on the wall, and you take a hard hat off as you leave the building to go down to the paddock, or things of that. And what is that going to do when a raptor has his head in his jaws, you know?
Well, you could say the same. What is a hard hat going to do for you on a construction site if something falls from 6 stories up?
Then maybe I be able to identify you without dental records.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
It will save that piece of skull, maybe. I don't know.
So that immediately, I'm like, what? Yeah. And then
I honestly thought you were going to jump to something a little later in the film with the flying dinosaurs. Like that one was... Even given the
pterodactyl-esque things, I know that's not technically a dinosaur.
Yeah, but even though the whole premise of this film is based around they spliced together this new dinosaur, this new big dinosaur, and then later in the film it breaks into the pterodon enclosure, I guess, and you see flying dinosaurs with T-Rex heads. Like that to me was a point where I was like...
It was a little island of Dr. Moreau.
This is too much.
Yeah, it was Dr. Moreau-esque by all standards.
I mean, I would understand if maybe we'd seen that in the lab, like them trying it, but it wouldn't work. The head is too big to be able to fly. So,
yes.
It's one of those stupid things of like, even with suspension of disbelief, if you're going to go, okay, dinosaurs exist, we've been able to create them, even with that logic, this dinosaur would not work. This is
there's still
stupid.
A bit of a physics issue at hand where you can't have a 150-pound head trying
to quote one of my
probably more than that.
favorite older films, a 5-ounce bird could not carry a 1-pound coconut. It's just no film. I mean,
well, yeah, they seem to obey physics at some points when they were trying to pick up the little petting zoo dinosaurs and drop them because that was too much for them to pick up.
Which is kind of funny.
It was a little funny.
Come get off this harness. In fact, I didn't even see it then try and eat the dinosaur. It just seemed to be trying to grab the harness.
Completely out of left field. I want a gyroscope ball. Can I get a gyroscope ball just to like kind of roll around in outside and go to work in? That'd be all right.
Shall we try and get some semblance of order?
No. The film didn't have any. Why should we?
Very true. All right. Well, since we're jumping around all over the place, this other thing that I didn't understand watching the film then is they send these people out in these gyroscope balls that you're talking about, and clearly it seems to be kind of the equivalent of going on a safari at the Animal Kingdom at Disney or something like that. But they appear to give the riders full control over where
there's no way that would ever happen.
No. there had to be some sort of track, and maybe you could give the riders the control of which way they're looking, but not where they're going. That's a recipe for disaster. Guess what happens in the disaster?
Because once any situation arises, they're just going to have an override system, and not to say, "Hey, you're on the honor system to bring that really expensive gyro ball back." You're on the honor system there to bring the gyro ball back. Instead of just having an override where you're pilotless, you have no control, and it just goes back to headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I mean, obviously, they needed to get lost.
Yes, I understand
I get
that.
Yeah, that is something that had to happen for plot. But they could have had something like maybe they hit a dinosaur and it's not working, and that's why they get manual control. Like, if they'd have worked something in. Yeah. So it's like the manual control is there as a fail-safe in case the automatic system doesn't work.
Yeah. And another thing that one of the many things bothered me, convenient for all the technology of this park, they can't seem to make a phone call or convey anything over a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Just always conveniently timed miscommunication.
Yeah.
Like, there's a sort you run.
Yeah.
What? You're breaking up.
And they didn't ever address that either. It's like, is this island on top of a gigantic amount of iron or something that just disrupts communication? It's
clearly they're, with all the technology of the park, they're going to have a way to override that. They're going to have a sound communication system.
You think they would have...
And a backup system.
Yeah, like 6 satellites dedicated just to the island. In case something
It's a country, essentially. It's a country in and of itself. And
I mean, it's trying to think about, like, obviously they know that there was a problem with the first film, and for those of you that don't know, because it's never addressed at all in the film, and you wouldn't know unless someone had told you, they completely ignore the second and third Jurassic Park films.
Thankfully.
So that this is something that is happening as a direct sequel to the first one.
Yes, exactly. You can just kind of cut out that stale meat, the sandwich, and just glue these two together.
Yeah. And so you'd think that, so all of this happened, and we had trouble getting a hold of people in that first film. Like, maybe we should upgrade said communication system. No, let's not do that.
And let's also have the wooden arrow signs that, Nedry messed up.
Yeah.
Didn't come into play here, but I still found that funny.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really? Yeah, just a little thing, a bump, and then you have no idea which direction that's pointing.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the best little moments in that first film, isn't it? It's just, he's like,
spinning it.
No, spin. No, spin.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Fuck it. Let's go this way. All right. And let's go get eaten by a Dilophosaurus? Something along those lines.
Yeah, it begins with D. It's close.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed he didn't make an appearance, or she, really.
Yeah, I think technically they're all she, aren't they?
In
the first one.
According to Ian Malcolm, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're all female.
Not according to him, but according to Henry Wu.
Yeah,
yes,
they're all female, but they somehow gain the ability to reproduce asexually, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then that never bothers coming up.
So, like, that, as, like, thematically, I mean, you could say that Jurassic Park, for the original, was more about nature finding a way, really. It's like what that essentially is about, and chaos theory kind of tied together.
Yeah.
Where, I don't know what you thought in this film, was more about greed and
this film is about humanity
blind
being
ambition,
stupid.
just repeating past mistakes.
Yeah.
And also, I think to a lesser extent, maybe you could probably tie in some animal rights in there too.
Yeah.
As how, even though, like Chris Pratt's character says, they don't know they were genetically engineered. They don't know they were a bastardization of science.
Yeah.
They are just an animal to them, and you see that a little bit when they're not really called brontosaurus, but the large, and when that one dies, and Bryce Dallas Howard has her first little connection with that they are actually living beings.
Now, one thing I said to my wife actually as we were leaving the film, talking about this, that scene obviously is supposed to be somewhat mirroring the Triceratops scene from the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. There were certain hits they made throughout the film, and
so you're seeing this thing. They're coming up to it. They're soothing it, and then it passes away, and you get this moment.
Mm-hmm.
3 seconds later, they look over the hill, and there's 4 more.
Which was completely ruined by the trailer for me.
Yeah. But it's like, you have this tender, shall we say, moment, and then it's like, by the way, here's the rest. It's like, I personally think the way that scene should have worked is they see the field of the dinosaurs, and then they're like, this one over here is still breathing, quick, can we save it, or something like that, and then carry it. Like, it just kind of undercut what they tried to do, I think.
I know I've mentioned this multiple times, and I call it the beautiful moment, the King Kong beautiful moment. Are you familiar with where I'm going?
I think I know
where the audience gets it, we understand, but it still needs to be said to make sure the dumbest guy in the audience, in the theater, gets it. I can see they're not eating. Okay, I understand he's just a badass killer. And I don't need the line, he's killing for sport. I don't need King Kong going, or Naomi Watts going, yes, it is beautiful. Yes, the sunset is beautiful. And King Kong's signing beautiful or whatever. Yeah, so that, I knew it was coming because of the trailer, and I was like,
at the very least, just cut out that single line. Leave, he's not eating them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It is that second part.
Yeah, obviously we know that, yeah.
If he's not eating them, there's only one thing he could possibly be doing.
He's not a spider, he's not saving those meals for later. I understand.
Which would work as well, actually, if you think about it. That could be why he has these.
Well, I'm sure he likes fresh, He doesn't want to go stale, the meat, but...
True.
I don't know. Perhaps reading too much in.
Yes,
perhaps.
Reading too much into this dinosaur film.
Any other beefs?
My biggest disappointment was that they didn't get anyone from the original film back.
Other than Henry Wu.
Other than the Doctor, who is an incidental character, basically.
I was so waiting for, not even as the character, but just even a Goldblum cameo.
Yeah, or even maybe, because you have the statue to Hammond as the memorial, I guess.
Well, he couldn't come back for certain dead reasons.
Yeah,
he's busy being dead.
Yeah, short of digging him up and propping him up in the scene. But maybe having a Sam Neill poster or something as he's gone on and given talks and stuff like that. So. Why wouldn't they have a video of him playing in the background for kids to watch? Just a little thing like that. I mean, maybe he just didn't want to do it, and I fully understand not wanting to come back to the franchise, so that's fair enough. But
or Dodson. Dodson could have been in there. He still lived, right?
Yes.
He was the guy that side. We got Dodson here. Dodson's drinking a margarita. We got Dodson here.
I know they want sequels, so maybe generic bad guy was working for him again. Maybe he's gonna turn out.
And can we talk about how one-dimensional that guy was? Oh my gosh! Look at me, Mr. Paramilitary esque guy that's gonna tell you how it is, and you're with me or you're not. And, Chris Pratt totally could not have been with him. And what would he have done without the Raptor Whisperer? He's not getting those things to do what he wants.
No,
without him. So Chris Pratt could have said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I never fully understood. This guy seemed to think that they were robots, just programmable things. It's like he's never seen. For him, they may as well have been lions. Let's just set some lions on the enemy. You'd have the same effect, basically. I mean, slightly less deadly, I suppose. But just let's set the lions on and then hope they don't eat us when we turn up. There was no real world application for what he was trying to do. Short of giving them robot brains, completely changing them, which would completely change what he was trying to do anyway. So, the plan would not work. That's just
I don't
it.
think so.
It was not working.
And the level of intelligence they gave the Raptors, I thought was just absurd. I mean, to the point where, I'm talking more third act, where Chris Pratt is pretty much talking with the Raptor. He's looking back at the what's the giant what dumb name do they give him that 4-year-old's gonna say? Indominus Rex. Yeah. Looking back and do I listen to you, Indominus Rex, or do I listen to this guy? And, oh, okay. There seemed to be a conversation going, and I'm like, really? It's a dinosaur. It would have Chris Pratt's head in its mouth right now. I don't care how well trained this dinosaur is.
Well, I mean, it's pack mentality, so I'm sort of willing to give it a bit of a pass.
It's a bit of a stretch, but I don't know.
All right, now that we've ripped into it,
things. Oh, I still have one more. Okay, then we'll get to things we like.
Okay, go on.
Maybe you don't feel the same way. I found the effects a little lacking. Whereas the first, maybe this is a bit of, I will admit, maybe this is a bit of looking through rose-colored glasses. But that first film was such. I mean, when that perfect John Williams, score kicks in, and you see just the giant dinosaurs, and then the whole pond, and and this time we got a building when that moment kicked in. Hey, it's a pyramid. Look at the pyramid
and trees, lots of trees.
But I remember the dinosaurs just looking amazing, and I've seen the film. I mean, I watched it when it came out 1 or 2 years ago in 3D. And the 3D was pointless, but the film still looked great, and the dinosaurs looked great. I thought they were ultra real or surreal in this film.
Right.
Whereas, anytime they were moving quickly, I thought they looked horrible.
That is the problem you run into. It's easy enough to have slow moving or not moving CG look good. It's when it has to have a lot of motion, especially if the camera's moving as well.
I was very aware that dinosaur was not in that environment.
Now, I will argue that there were a couple of scenes where I was unsure as to whether or not it was a puppet or CG, and maybe they did half puppet, half CG.
Yeah, and kind of blended the two. Yeah.
But I think that the biggest problems when it comes to this is the flying dinosaurs never felt real to me.
Oh, no. But the
Indominus Rex
looked horrible, I thought.
and... Shall we spoil it?
The T-Rex?
The original T-Rex. Yeah. Those were fine by me, and the Velociraptors were 50-50.
The Raptors sometimes looked amazing. I will give it credit. Sometimes they did look really good, and other times I thought they just looked awful.
Yeah. It depended on what they were doing. When they were in the grass, a little later on, one that, shall we say, doesn't make it, pops up, and Chris Pratt sees that looked really good.
Yeah, yeah.
and then when they're just kind of standing, looking at the Indominus Rex, and they turn around and that was all great. And then, as you say, the motorcycle scene, not really. It's okay, we know that's clearly CG, and obviously we know that it has to be CG. There are no real dinosaurs, but there's people know there's a difference between it looking like CG and being somewhat realistic, and they kept jumping.
I think they should have used the motto "less is more," and just show the first film had a lot of them moving through bushes and moving through a lot of dense foliage.
Yeah,
and more of the Jaws mentality. Just let your mind paint the picture.
Yeah, and which one was it where there's something like a cornfield, and you just see the trail from above of them moving like that? Stuff like that, where it's okay, they're clearly there.
Yeah, it seems they were. I think the effects artists could have spent a lot less hours on the job.
But then you run into the issue of modern day films where people want to see the stuff, they don't want the Jaws-esque. Yeah. We know it's there, but people want to see it. They want, which, that's more a critique of modern film.
I do think this did do... so this might be a nice transition into good things.
Okay.
I do think it did a good job of waiting a good amount of time for the first dinosaur.
Yes.
Like in the first film. I don't know. I'd be interested to know how the running times compare. Because it felt like
it's
end of the...
It is pretty much exact... Yeah. I mean, I don't know about within the film, but obviously it's pretty
structurally,
much... The films are pretty much identical running times. Mm-hmm. And I do think that...
What was it, about high 20s to 30 minutes in? Before the first?
Yeah, I think before you see the first...
There was a couple reels, I feel
like. Live dinosaur, definitely half an hour.
Yeah.
Because they do a lot of setting up and talking about the dinosaurs and getting the people to the park. And then...
And I'd like to know, in Jurassic World, I'm not counting the claw that... the raptor arm that kills the handler, you know, because you don't really see him in his full glory.
No.
Because obviously that's the first indication something could be wrong.
It's a box.
The box, He's just in a box, So I'm not counting that. I'm counting that epic moment of Sam Neill standing up in the Jeep.
Seeing the first dinosaur.
Yes. Yeah. So for anyone that was going to correct that.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't have something similar to that in this one. They didn't have, not necessarily a box, but something where you see an eye, maybe, and then something like that. But whatever.
So, what else did you enjoy?
Well, let's see.
Movie film.
Well, first and foremost, this film is a trip down nostalgia lane.
It is.
That is the reason this film exists.
Yes.
It's because everyone liked Jurassic Park, and people wanted to see more. And then when they saw more, they're like, no, we didn't want to see that. We wanted to see something more like Jurassic Park. So that is a lot of what this is. And and so many little homages. I think my mother, actually, I was talking to her a little earlier today, and she said she was starting to get a little sick of the homages, that they just kept poking to it, but like that's what the film is. So, like, you know, it owes so much to that I was absolutely fine with it.
Yeah,
and even little things that, if you're not paying too much attention to the screen, you'll completely miss. Like the DNA helix, he's on the screen for a second, and if you're not looking at that section of the screen, you will miss him. So it like lots of little things.
I like that, and I like the atrium or whatever, where
the original ending for
the first film, and the banner that falls down at the end. Is
yes, I have something I want to say about that. This is another suspension of disbelief thing that I couldn't do. I'm willing to accept dinosaurs. I'm willing to accept someone running in high heel shoes because of necessity. Like, fine. Picking up a 20-year-old banner that has been sitting on a damp forest floor and lighting it with a single box of matches would not happen. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the dampest area in the world, and you're able to light this banner with...
I don't know. I think that's the thing that all movies get away with, though. That's one of those just... I think you got to give it a pass on that.
Yeah, I kind of would. Although
I think every movie has something like that where that would never work.
And then, thinking about it, they didn't need to do that. Wasn't there more than enough light in every other area they went into?
Well, see, where I thought you were going with that whole kind of scene where the two kids are going to, you know, line of exposition. Remember that time we fixed Granddad's car? Yep. Are going to fix the Jeep.
Yeah, it's not
Why would all of those resources just be abandoned? They would either be repurposed, sold, destroyed. You're not just going to close off this area that has supplies and really expensive night vision goggles and Jeeps. And, you know, that's just abandoned. You're not even, it's a bad memory, let's not go there.
No,
I'm not buying it. You're going to sell that shit on eBay. You're going to give it away. You're going to get rid of it or make a use of it.
Very true. However, I will say that if that was the case, we wouldn't have had 10 minutes of pure nostalgia.
Yes, true.
So, I mean, we would have still had the atrium, shall we say, but we wouldn't have had the goggles that would be like, oh, look, it's a young boy playing with
I really wanted him to put him on. Did you want him to put him on?
And
he didn't put him on!
Rather than go, like, oh, they moved, I better put them back.
Yeah, like, come on, put him on. Like, that would have been perfect. I would have loved that, but,
can't have everything, I suppose. But
the
one thing that I thought was a little odd is that they were able to get the Jeep going. Like, does petrol stay good for 22 years? Like, were the Jeeps...
I don't know enough, but I do know Jeeps are really good vehicles. Like, they last forever. So.
I'm sure they do. I was just looking at it thinking, like...
Thank you, Jeep. Feel free to sponsor us.
But... Speaking of sponsor, I need to know the answer to this. I don't know if anyone is ever going to be able to tell me. Did they write the line making fun of sponsorship before Mercedes sponsored Jurassic World? Or did Mercedes sponsor Jurassic World and then they made fun of sponsorship?
I don't know. But I was gonna that was my next train of thought, was the product placement I thought was very obvious in this movie.
Yeah. And
the Chris Pratt drinking a Coke seductively. Mr. Coke commercial, sweaty brow, hunk, and then Mercedes, boom on the emblem.
Yeah. It was that thing of, they were talking about, like, it's Verizon Wireless sponsors Jurassic World, and then the guy saying, well, why don't you just let them name the thing? And then 2 shots later, it's drive a Mercedes car up to this thing, drinking a Coke. It's like, is this somewhat self-aware?
It was like the Wayne's World scene. Here, take 2 of these. Little, yellow, different.
Oh, we're not about to any sponsor. Drink.
And it's the choice. The choice of a new generation. I mean, it was a bit heavy-handed. Not quite to that extent, but...
No, it was something that they talked about it, and I was like, oh, ha, they're making a joke out of sponsorship. And then it turned into, wait, this film seems to have a lot of sponsorship. So I couldn't tell if it was a slightly meta going for it, or if it was just them not realizing that they would end up.
I think it was them not giving a shit, and people are going to see this film either way. Whatever.
Yeah. Either way, it's a fun film. It's just this one thing. As I was watching, I was like, I genuinely don't know which way. If it was totally intentional, or if it just ended up that way. Like, I want to know, but I don't think I ever will, which is a shame.
Yeah, I did enjoy, I will say, Jake Johnson's comedy relief. I thought he was... he needs to be in... I mean, he's done independent stuff where it was like, it's like Safety Not Guaranteed, where he had like a starring role. Yeah. But I really, really like him as an actor. I think he's really interesting, and
he was fun.
He's so I definitely enjoyed his kind of comic relief in there. How did you feel about the body count? Probably the highest body count. I would say, combined the other three films, I'd still say this has a higher body count. Yes and no, I'll say, because if we're just going to go... On scene, let's go on...
Okay, if we're going on screen...
On screen body count.
Then I don't think it's... Like, actual on-screen death, maybe not combined, but the highest out of all four films
I would say by far, yeah.
Now, if you're going with implied death, then definitely. And it's another thing that there's so much that you just don't see.
Well, especially with like the pterodons, like attacking, like
it's like they attack, but you never see any aftermath. Like
you see the people that survived that are bandaged up, but not the people that got their faces eaten off.
If you think about it as well, like when they're in the streets at the end, like those areas are empty. There is nothing there. So the survivors took the dead with them, or the flying dinosaurs took the dead. Like it picked clean, literally. There's nothing on those streets. But whatever. Again, this is the nitpicking a film with dinosaurs in. So
yes.
Now,
go ahead.
What did you feel about the cheese factor? I mean, this felt very early 90s, I think, a lot of the stuff. Obviously, because they were referencing Jurassic Park, as well. But like, there seemed to be a lot of the late 80s, early 90s cheesy lines.
Can you give me an example, kind of what you're referring to?
Well, I mean, you've got the in the trailer, for instance, the Chris Pratt saying "depends on what." On what sort of crazy dino they cooked up in that lab. Like, a lot of those little one-liners, there's okay, there's that's the cheese factor for the film.
Okay. I mean, that was low on my radar of things that bothered me. I was willing to accept it as a part of this type of film.
No, it didn't bother me at all. In fact, I thought it kind of made this film, mainly because this film was made to tug at your nostalgia. It's that helped the film, that kind of made the film slightly better, I think, is that they went with it. I do think this film is somewhat meta in some of the things they went with, because it's we know what this is, here you go, just have it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you caught it, but you know the whole theme of cool guys don't look at explosions?
Yes.
Did you like the cool dinosaur didn't look at explosion?
I did. He was a cool dinosaur. Of course he's not going to look at that explosion. It's just an explosion happened to me. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it was... I'm going to watch
happens all the time.
I'm going to watch it fall, I'm not going to watch it explode.
No, there's no need, man. I'm too cool. I liked it. Yeah. I did... I think going back, I think the nostalgia aspect was handled very well. It definitely tied me in, and like I said, kept me watching. I did like all the little kind of references, and I'm sure there are plenty of Easter eggs I missed too, like the helix. I'm sure there's more.
There's loads of just little things there, and then of course the big reveal that everybody knew was coming. Even though it's technically not in the trailer, everyone knew this was going to happen. The original T-Rex, she was going to be in it. There's no way that wasn't going to
exactly. Yeah, you're not going to have that film and not have it show up. But I don't know, that last kind of battle sequence. I don't know. What do you think?
But did you like the hopping velociraptor?
Yeah.
So, I'm on here. No, I'm over here. No, I'm over here. It's like, okay.
Well, and the wish-washy velociraptor. Oh, I'm on this side. Well, now I'm on your side. Okay, now I'm on... Okay, yeah, I guess I'm on your side.
Yeah, and I mean...
Oh, and were you surprised that he was part raptor? Oh my gosh,
no,
what a reveal.
I mean, for the purposes of this film, it may as well just been part everything. Like,
he was a melting pot of every... Yeah, exactly. Let's give him invisibility and cloaking and flying and he can detect...
And
full infrared.
Another thing, I mean, maybe it was a line from someone that was poking fun at, I don't know. But they say that this dinosaur is going to be 50 foot high when it is fully developed. And then they say it's fully developed. And then someone says that the wall to the paddocks are 40 foot high. So you have this dinosaur that's 10 foot higher than the wall.
But he has those little arms. He can't climb up.
They're not that little. they grab people.
Proportionally for him.
Yes, that's right. But like, it was this thing of I didn't fully like. The only thing I could think of was maybe when they say like she's already ready, is that like she's already grown quite a lot and there's still more growing to go. So they weren't finished with building the wall. I mean, obviously they were told no, we had to build the wall higher. But it's still only 40 foot. Like, it's still 10 feet shorter than the height of the dinosaur. I mean, I don't know. It was one of those little things.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I did receive a few reviews short reviews from other people. Okay. If you wanted me to mention those, or did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I just wanted to say, I don't know if you had a favorite dinosaur from the film, but I did. Okay. And mine was, I believe its name was Deus Ex Machina-saurus. Who, just always popped up out of the water at the right time. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I had to get that in there. It was a bit forced, but...
No, yeah, I had to be in it.
I had to get that out. Yes, very convenient dinosaur that was.
Yeah. And if you think about it as well, like... So... all that was separating the rest of the park goers at the end from that thing is that little fence that it very clearly got through. Yeah. Because where the dinosaurs were standing at the end is where the public was. So, yeah, just out, splat, just killed 200. Well done you, I suppose. Good park management.
Yeah. Hashtag shut down SeaWorld. Okay. What did you have for comments?
Alright, well...
Or questions?
I had a few people to send me some short things. I got @FilmRealCast. They said, not original but entertaining for a sequel. See much of it before, probably for younger first-time viewers to enjoy. And JW, the son of the guys, I said it was great viewing and fun. So that was... I think basically what they're trying to say was, it was alright.
Pretty much, yeah.
And In Session Film, JW from In Session Film says, very short here, saved by nostalgia and Jake Johnson.
I would agree with most of, with all of that actually.
Alright, and at Storybreakers, they gave their 7-word review, which is puberty tingling, nostalgia inducing roller coaster ride. I somewhat agree with that.
Yeah, no, this was are you kidding me? If I'm 12 and I'm watching this film, this is going to be it's a completely different experience. I think.
Yeah.
You don't have you presumably average 12-year, you haven't experienced a ton or watched a ton of films. Depending on when you get started. I got started in film very late. So I think this could be an iconic film for that generation. I can totally see that.
I mean, I'm perfectly willing to accept this film as a gateway for younger people to now go and see Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Cause it, and they may not like it because it's not as up to date. Or
exactly.
But, there's so much in this film. It's almost like, when you see, say, The Simpsons, they parody so many films so many times that by the time you're old enough to then go and see those films, you're like, oh, I recognize that, I recognize that, oh, this is where that comes. Maybe they'll do the same with this. It's like, oh, okay, so that's what that was a nod to. That was a nod to. And I have one more here from... I've slightly reworded it because they were technically talking about The Lost World, but they were talking about Jurassic World as well. So it's at underrated MVS, and talking about Lost World, certainly not great, but he much prefers The Lost World to this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that.
He said, personally, he hated Jurassic World, and Lost World has Goldblum. He likes Chris Pratt. He likes Chris Pratt and all, but he's no Goldblum.
Okay, fine, all right. I mean, Goldblum's awesome, but he could not save Lost World. Don't give me that. All right. Thank you for your feedback, but don't give me that.
So sorry if you feel like I butchered your words slightly, but I was trying to reword it to a word for this. So there we go.
I love me some Goldblum, but come on, Lost World. You want to talk about some silliness? That's some silliness.
Alright.
Shall we get to ratings?
I think we should. And so I will go first this time.
Okay, sure.
I get the feeling I enjoyed it a bit more than you.
Okay. We'll see.
But I will say, I feel like I've been able to go at this review taking my nostalgia out of it. This is my review purely for how I feel the film holds up. I will say my actual thoughts are better than what I'm about to say, but but here we go. So, given that, obviously, we started out this podcast just kind of ripping into the film a bit, there are so many little things that you can niggle at and that don't make sense story-wise, that this is definitely coming down. I mean, some of the dinosaurs we say are excellent, and some of them just aren't. I mean, you can kind of say the same thing about the original Jurassic Park, but overall, I think Jurassic Park did better with the CG and the dinosaurs than Jurassic World did. And I am going to say that, despite enjoying it immensely from a nostalgia point of view, the actual rating, the critical rating I would give this film is a -4. Yeah, and that's because, I mean, there's so much about this film just to enjoy, and clearly they knew what they were making, so you got to give some of it a pass. But there's so much that not even just nostalgia review, it just doesn't make sense, that I couldn't give it any higher than that. Now, my actual review of this film is about a -1.5 because it was fun, but yeah, my critical view -4.
Okay, so as Paul was doing that, I gave him a number of fingers on my hand, which I was predicting what he would say, and I nailed it.
Yeah, on the head, good sir.
Which is exactly where I'm at, is a -4. Like you said, I will, and maybe it's not the same because I am factoring in my nostalgia with this. And I did enjoy all those moments. I loved me some violence, and I loved the body count. Yep. I love me some innocent people getting eaten by dinosaurs.
So and, kind of what they were looking for with the Indominus Rex. Bigger, better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I know the film's not going to be... I know any film of this type isn't going to be perfection. There's things you have to do to advance the plot. Certain...
There's got to be suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. And even more than you're willing to give. And you just kind of have to just go with it. Now, that being said, tis a bit silly. Tis a bit silly place, Jurassic World.
My wife put up the thing. It's like, on second thought, let's not go to Jurassic World. Tis a silly place.
Tis a silly place. Yeah.
I am actually shocked at the number of Monty Python references I put into this episode.
Yes. Well, I'm surprised you don't put more into the other episodes.
Maybe I should look at it that way.
So, yeah, loved the nostalgia, loved the killing. I love me some Chris Pratt and Jake Johnson. Bryce Dallas Howard was wasted completely. I think she's a very talented actress from a very talented director, of course. And I think she could have just insert redhead here. She didn't really get a chance to show her chops.
Are you kidding? I mean,
what?
Oh, sorry, chop. No, my mistake. One thing that we didn't actually touch on. That
I said chops, not chest.
Yes. Yeah, well, that was one thing that I wanted to very quickly shove in here before we finish. Is that scene where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull up my sleeves and tie," and then just goes, "What?
What does that mean?"
Like,
that was pretty funny.
It means I'm ready. It's like,
yes.
Thank you
Probably
for
the
actually...
best laugh for me in the film.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you for poking fun at this stereotype.
Yeah, that was probably the best laugh for me in the movie. But yeah, -4. I'll probably see it again on TV. Or
I was going to ask, how do you think this film is going to hold up to subsequent viewings?
I think it won't get better, and I don't think it'll get worse. I think it'll just kind of be what it is.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't think that this film is going to appear worse for me. I also don't think it's going to get better. The only thing that's going to happen is I might notice more that they put in. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And see where, once again, possibly looking through rose-colored glasses, I think Jurassic Park holds up extremely well for being over 20 years old.
It does, and I think it's, as you were saying, like kind of the Jaws thing, of like, they didn't overuse the effects that they knew wouldn't hold up. Like
they knew what the technology was at the time, and they kind of maxed it out in certain places, and let you just kind of put the rest together in other places.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Gallimimus from Jurassic Park kind of feel exactly the same as the herd of basically Gallimimus in this one.
Yeah.
Because you see them going past the truck, and it's like, you know what? That feels the same to me. Like they, and I'm sure that they did that purposely so that it would. But like, I think that the graphics are fairly similar at that point. So,
bottom line, would you recommend the film?
To who? Because that's the thing. I would definitely recommend this film to anyone that has seen Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And I would,
or anyone that's under the age of 15.
Yes. But I would say if someone now has a kid and they're like, oh, let's take them to see a dinosaur, make them watch Jurassic Park first. And
let's just, come on, be responsible parents. This is a very violent film.
Yeah.
If your kid's too young to see this, don't take them to it. Because
I
heard some crying in the theater, and that really pissed me off. Because I'm an insensitive asshole, but that pissed me off.
If your kid is Ty Simpkins, don't let them see this film. They will cry at the drop of a hat. If your kid is not Ty Simpkins, then this is, I believe, what parental guidance exists for. Like, you need to... I mean, you can go and see the film and then judge not whether or not a kid should see this, judge whether or not the kid that you know, your kid, should see this.
Or your charge, the one you're babysitting.
I knew some 8-year-olds that would be perfectly fine seeing this film. I knew some 12-year-olds that shouldn't go and see this film.
Exactly. It just depends what kind of emotional maturity you're at. Bottom line is, I think I would recommend the film. Just, go and it's a good time. And then don't expect more than that.
Yeah, this is the definition of a blockbuster.
Exactly.
This exists to get people to go see it, to have fun, to eat their popcorn, to drink their gigantic drinks.
To use a rainy Saturday for good, and which is what I did. And that's I got no issues with other than the 9,000 I listed. It's a good time.
Yeah. Yes, definitely see this. But see Jurassic Park first. I don't think you should ever see this film without having seen Jurassic Park.
Yeah, because it's just not going to connect as well. Yeah. All right. I think that's enough out of my mouth.
For now, anyway.
Yes, for now. All right. I've been Brian.
And I've been Paul.
Bye, folks.